The world was young, and humanity still spoke with one united tongue. They walked in the shadow of the flood, fearing the waters that once swallowed mountains. Yet beneath their unity, pride quietly grew, whispering that man could rise high enough to never fear God again. From dust-covered plains to distant valleys, people journeyed together until they reached a vast land called Shinar. The soil was rich, the rivers gentle, and the ground firm beneath their feet. Here, a thought formed one so bold that it would change human history forever. Among the people stood a mighty hunter named Nimrod, a man whose strength bent the will of crowds. His voice was deep and commanding, his vision grand enough to set nations trembling. Some followed him out of admiration, others out of fear. He looked at the open land of Shinar and saw opportunity. Not for farms, not for homes, but for legacy. He wanted a kingdom that reached the heavens, a monument that proclaimed man's triumph over God, a tower so tall that the flood could never touch them again. Nimrod gathered builders, craftsmen, and leaders. He raised his arms toward the sky and announced a plan that shocked the earth. "Let us build a city," he cried, "and a tower with its top in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, so we are never scattered again." The people cheered. Their voices echoed across the plains like thunder. They believed unity made them unstoppable, ignorance made them fearless, and pride made them blind. Kilns burned day and night, glowing like fiery suns in the darkness. Clay bricks, hardened in towering piles, stacked higher than most men could see. Workers hammered, shaped, lifted, and pulled. But they were not building a tower, they were building rebellion. Smoke curled above Shinar like a warning to the heavens. The city grew wide, the tower grew tall, and the hearts of men grew arrogant. They believed nothing, not even God, could stand against their united will. Families abandoned the worship of the one true God. They turned instead to the brilliance of their own hands. Architects boasted about their designs. Workers bragged of their strength. Leaders claimed they would reach divine heights. Nimrod climbed the unfinished tower each morning and gazed upon the city. Thousands of men followed his commands. Thousands more feared his anger. He felt unstoppable, untouchable, nearly divine. As the tower stretched higher, something shifted in the hearts of the people. The sound of prayer faded. The memory of the flood weakened, and the fear of God turned into the fear of human insignificance. They were no longer building together, they were competing. Some argued over designs, others boasted about whose section was taller. Pride turned unity into rivalry, yet the construction never slowed. From above, God looked upon the city rising like a spear against the sky. He saw the pride burning in man's heart, the rebellion hidden beneath their unity. He saw where this path would lead kingdom after kingdom, power stacking upon power, until evil consumed the earth again. God did not fear their tower, he feared what their pride would make them become. He spoke, and the heavens trembled. "Behold, the people are one, and they have all one language. Nothing they propose will be withheld from them. Let us go down and confuse their language, so they cannot understand one another." It was not punishment, it was protection, a divine intervention to stop humanity from destroying itself again. Morning broke over Shinar with the usual rhythm of hammers and shouts. Workers clung to ropes, lifted bricks, and shouted commands. But suddenly, their words twisted like broken echoes. One man shouted for bricks, his partner heard a language he'd never spoken. Another called for water, but the boy beside him heard meaningless sounds. Confusion spread like fire. Voices rose, anger erupted, and panic swelled. Within minutes, the entire city fell into chaos. Supervisors yelled orders, but their men no longer understood them. Groups formed instinctively, clustering around those who spoke the same strange new tongue. Friends suddenly felt like strangers. Families struggled to understand one another. Nimrod roared in frustration, but even his mighty voice meant nothing. His commands turned into noise, and his empire cracked like fragile clay. Work stopped, the ropes slackened, the scaffolding creaked, bricks slipped from trembling hands and crashed to the ground. The tower, once rising proudly toward heaven now, stood silent, abandoned, and broken. Arguments erupted everywhere. Some blamed the tower, others blamed Nimrod. But not a single person understood the true cause. The unity they worshipped for strength became their downfall. People began to drift away from the cursed tower. Groups who shared the same new languages traveled together. Some went east, others west, and others far into distant lands. Each group carried new culture, new words, new paths. Humanity separated not by hatred, but by tongues they never asked for. And the once mighty city of Shinar became a ghost of unfinished dreams. Nimrod watched the world he built crumble to dust. His tower stood half-finished, a monument to pride. His dream died, not by war, nor by storm, but by the simple power of confusion. He realized too late that man's greatest strength comes not from unity alone, but from walking humbly with God. The Tower of Babel became a warning for generations to come, a reminder that ambition without God leads only to ruin. Nations rose and fell, languages multiplied, cultures expanded, but the lesson remained. God did not destroy mankind that day. He simply redirected them, scattered them, protected them from the pride that once drowned the world. And the ruins of Babel stood as a silent whisper to the ages. Unity without humility becomes rebellion, and pride always ends where confusion begins.